I know that I am the bad guy, as I said, but I need to observe the time. Otherwise, there will be complaints by those who are following. So I apologize for insisting on closing this discussion, but we need to proceed to the next session. AI trends shaping the next decade. We have with us Mr. Kyriacos Sabatakakis, Mr. Alexandros Paterakis, Mr. Charalampos Margaritis, and the moderator is Mr. John Saracakis, Vice President of the American-Hellenic Chamber of Commerce. You are a member of the chamber, and you know what we are going through. So, okay, maybe I can give you a bit more time. Okay, so let's start immediately. Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome you to today's discussion about AI trends that shape the next decade. A topic that does not impact only businesses, but our life. Today, we are at the threshold of a technological revolution that is no longer experimental. It has already become a transformative power, and this revolution will radically change our societies, our work, and it has already showcased the need to invest in the economy of knowledge. It is a great honor and a major privilege to have with us three distinguished leaders, the organizations of whom wish to become pioneers in this change. Mr. Kyriacos Sabatakakis, Managing Director of Accenture in Greece, Mr. Alexandros Paterakis, Deputy CEO and Executive Board Member of the Public Power Corporation, and AI Jedi, based on his T-shirt, Master Jedi, and Mr. Haris Margaritis, COO of the Piraeus Bank Group. Altogether, we are going to investigate the way that AI shapes the strategies of the different organizations, but also how it creates new opportunities in the labor market, how it strengthens the skills development for the workforce of the future, and how it contributes to the increase of GDP, to the benefit of the entire society. It is our duty as leaders of organizations, but also as a chamber, to prepare society for this new technology. So let's start. Let's embark on this fascinating journey in the world of AI. And allow me to start with Mr. Sabatakakis. In one of your recent articles, I read that the productive AI marks a new era of democratization of the technology. It offers the context for the strengthening of multidisciplinarity and of innovation, having the power to radically impact all aspects of our lives. In addition, a few days ago, it was announced that Greece has a plan for the transition to the era of AI. This plan was elaborated by the Advisory Committee on AI under the leadership of the Prime Minister. And you actually were the coordinator, and this was a major honor for us. So would you like to touch upon the main findings of this research, and would you like to say a few words about the role of AI in the acceleration of digital transformation in Greece? Thank you very much for the invitation. There are several different issues related to AI. Starting with democratization. I believe that what we can all realize is that AI offers us an access to things that would be very hard to access in the past, and it increases workforce. We should keep this in mind because it's not something that is associated with this terrifying scenario about AI. Now, having said that, and you aptly said that last week we published the study of the Committee on AI, and I have a copy of this actually. Basically, what did the committee try to do? It tried to see what AI would mean for Greece in the future. And it examined different axes like innovation, public sector, regulatory issues, since they are the cornerstone of anything related to AI. What the committee primarily tried to do, since we're talking about the strategy of the country, was to set the appropriate governance framework that would allow all these things to work after the pass of the EU AI Act that was voted last August. And the committee actually concluded that there has to be a plan on the part of the government, and there has to be a mechanism responsible for the implementation of the plan. And when it comes to the implementation, one of the main issues that came about was how can, at least at the state level, and of course this has implications on the private sector, how can, at the state level, one can use state data in order to upgrade them via AI in areas that have to do with civil protection, justice, public administration, health, what have you. So the rationale was how to create the data governance in the public that would unlock all the other areas of interest that would be to the benefit of the citizens and, of course, of the businesses. The next thing that the committee did was to identify certain flagship initiatives, which, apart from the general actions that the society must take, have to do with what Greece could do differently. So the first were data. The second, the actions that were identified have to do with the creation of technological poles that can attract all those scientists we have in Europe and around the world who are specializing in AI. And if you have taken a look at the statistics, you have probably realized that we have excellent scientists. And by the way, Mr. Daskalakis, who was previously here, was a chair of the respective committee. The third main issue was education, which is a multidimensional issue. It has to do with the way that we can convey and transfer these knowledge and capabilities to the wider population, but mostly it has to do with what we can do in the private sector, something like an educational marketplace that would be based on AI platform and that would benefit schools, universities, and many other players. The fourth very important axis was related to the way that we can strengthen the AI ecosystem, because just like in a digital economy, there's not enough to have just one champion. You need to have ecosystems. So how can you create these ecosystems in terms of infrastructure, in terms of academic institutes, businesses, citizens? How can you combine all these together in order to create the ecosystem? And you have probably heard the Prime Minister saying that Greece is striving to be selected as one of the 7 AI factories where investments will be made. Another very important thing is how to protect the Greek language, because we all know that the AI models have been trained with English, and there is a cultural dominance, and we are afraid of losing the Greek language and the Greek element. And moreover, with regard to democracy and democratic principles, how we can play a more international role in relation to the way that AI interacts with democratic principles. These were the conclusions of the work of the committee, but if you want, you can take a look at the publication itself.
Now, the next question is addressed to the 2 gentlemen, so you can answer it jointly if you'd like. So, artificial intelligence is no secret that it is strategic priority for all big companies. 97% of staff, executives, believe that it will change their operation, and 67% of businesses, according to a study by Accenture, is aiming at investing very, very soon in AI. Would you like to tell us about your branch, your sector, how you see that affecting it? First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. What I want you to keep as take-home messages are three. For us, as a group, AI is a particularly strategic thing. It's not something that we're just talking about or just mentioning. It is a structural element of transformation. For the first 4 years, the organization had to resolve the first and foremost component for us to be able to at least participate in this transition, which is the part of data, like Mr. Sabatakakis said. So today, after all 4 years, the ensemble of data handled and managed by the group is on the cloud. So it's practically available to do whatever we want. And then we have a corporate program that starts again from education, information, understanding of what that thing actually is. So all executives of the service and the company and the group from a level upwards are obliged, if I can use this word, to participate in such updates and information so as to make it clear to everyone what exactly this thing is that we're talking about, and to explain the glossary, you see, because we're talking about so many different notions and meanings, and at the end of the day, to build a common place from which we will start to move further. What I should like to add is the most important thing at the moment. So I believe that what is happening now with AI is not a technological transition, it's not a transformation like those of the previous years that had to do with technology. In its very core, it's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, transformation of human resources. It's all about people. And I would like to primarily talk about the young who are there from the rear of the room, that in front of them they have a fascinating future, which opens, unfolds, and will disrupt the ensemble of our business area. So it is important for us to be able to make such activities from as early as now. And slowly we estimated that within 2 or 3 years at the latest, AI will be at the core of almost all activities and will play a very significant role. Now, I would like to share, if I'm honest, that my vision is that in the next 3 or 4 months to do what other 3 or 4 other companies did in the world. They have at least one member of the board of directors, an AI agent. So to be able to have as a member of the board of directors interaction with an AI agent like all other members of the boards of directors. Mr. Margaritis. Well, it's very difficult to compete with this. And when I asked ChatGPT, he said, well, wear a T-shirt. It's what ChatGPT said. I will not wear a T-shirt. Maybe I should have listened to ChatGPT. Well, we share a similar course in the bank as well. Everything is built on data. And what we're living today reminds us of what the iPhone did for smartphones in general and how it changed our lives in 2009. As soon as the iPhone was invented, an avalanche was created that changed our everyday lives in the way we work, we have fun, the way we interact. We feel, and I think that most agree, that we are at a similar point in time of our history with the creation of this generative AI. This invention has put in the limelight traditional techniques of AI, machine learning, neuronal networks, and all organizations on this pretext have focused on building and creating their data and their infrastructures, creating a strategy, a framework for governance. So this entire effort is working with very positive feedback in the adoption of all the capabilities supplied by this technology. In banking, we have a great number of studies. Some talk about a 30% increase in productivity. Others say about 300 billion at the bottom line the world over. Our strategy is also very ambitious. We have a 4-year plan with 80 areas that we have recognized where we can expect benefits. Our target is something that will bring us 10% benefit in the bottom line of the bank in the next few years on an annual basis. We work with priority in areas of customer service, of automating risk management. And we see, and this is something that we can probably discuss later on, we can see that despite the fact that there is all this expectation and all this weight regarding the benefits, we still see a lag into how these benefits come into action. So there are some reasons for this, and we can see this in the organization. Some of those reasons have to do with the complexity of technology, some others have to do with the maturity and the preparedness, the readiness of people to change the way they're working. We discussed earlier about how magnificent was this technology of Gen AI into summarizing meetings, strategies, plans, in a way that many of the consultants of Mr. Saracakis would have to work 10 years to make that happen. This is very interesting indeed, and we will come back to this with another question. Thank you. Mr. Paterakis, a question for you. Now, according to research, adopting artificial intelligence, generative AI, will significantly increase energy requirements for data centers, obviously, that are used. According to recent research, such a development could lead data centers to consume over more than 5% of the overall produced energy by 2030. It is also estimated that AI-related emissions will triple from 68 to 210 millions of CO2 tons by 2030. I was reading yesterday in a study that a simple AI question is the equivalent to the power needed by a mobile phone to work for 3 days. Now, you as the PPC that are a energy producer, you announced the investment in a data center and the provision of AI services. Would you like to tell me exactly how you plan on managing this energy challenge that will arise? Well, it's a very serious issue that has 2 different pillars. One of them is energy availability, which of course the group will secure at the local and regional level, both within and without Greece. At any rate, however, for any data centers we're talking about, be they ours or in the market, these are powered by renewable energy sources. And this is not simply because we do it because we want to, but those who are tenants in those data centers have as a requirement the provision of service. So in terms of CO2, it will be the absolute minimum because it will be powered by renewable energy sources. But for all this discussion and for Greece, it will not be a challenge in terms of energy or in terms of CO2. Now, as regards the second leg, the second part, which was one of these things, it requires a lot of computing power that is not in our country at the moment, for better or for worse. So for us, it was an important thing to secure and ensure this for the group. It is for that reason that we decided to enter into a consortium to build a data center that will, first and foremost, will secure access to the computing facilities we need. So, since we are giving the power, the energy, we will be competitive. So, secondarily, we created a subsidiary that has as its absolute focus to work on AI services alone, exclusively. So you do realize that it will serve centrally all the needs of the PPC group in terms of AI in this digital transformation. But these services, this computing structure, this computing power will also be available to everyone. So we, in recognition of the great demand and there is no domestic capability offered, we will frame this endeavor academically, in research terms, or rather the academia and research factors to have low-cost computing power access so that they can also participate in their own projects, in their own journey, in this AI transformation. Right, brilliant, thank you very much. Mr. Margaritis, you were talking about the 4-year plan and you're talking about some challenges that arise. Obviously, we all have great expectations from AI. But when it comes to implementation, do we hit snags? Well, yes, I was looking at it. I was attending a conference abroad the other day, and in general, yes, there is this discussion, this debate. There is very high expectations in the increase of productivity may be achieved through the utilization of these technologies and where we still are. What we can see is this. There's 2 ways to use it. One of them is to create a specialized, tailor-made solution that has to do, for instance, with convention analysis, contract analysis, clause analysis, and create something new, or to analyze contracts and compare them to one another. Now, for this to become productive, it will need to be included in organization systems, into CRM systems, loan management systems, and so on and so forth. The very complexity of having an architecture that is reliable, secure, protecting data, not having hallucinations, working in the deterministic way as required by these conditions is not an easy task. It's a complex problem, and to create this, you need specialization that is not easy to come by. You see, there's great need, which is why we will provide it. This is why Alexandros will give it to us. So this is a reason, okay? And what we did at the bank is that we've invested heavily in a very serious architecture that is scalable, that took us some time to create, but it will accelerate our progress in the years to come. And then the other thing, the other way, is in our everyday lives and in our everyday tasks. We collaborate with WorkHelix, an American startup company. It belongs to 2 MIT professors, Mr. McAfee, I can't remember the other name, who are considered prominent in this area. And they have analyzed all works, all tasks, everything that the bank does. So this analysis is used generative AI itself. They took the role descriptions, they created tasks, they broke them down, they correlated them, they had some databases, productivity bases, primarily on American data, but we adapted that as well. And this shows that we can anticipate an increase in productivity in 80% of the roles, which is fascinating. In practice, of course, we can't see that yet, and we see that there is a great difficulty. Since the expectations and the bar is very high, disappointment comes very, very fast as well. So what we do is, first of all, artificial intelligence for us is in the forefront. We have a strategy committee with the participation of the CEO himself, with all the members of the executive committee. We report to the board of directors, so the spotlight is on us in these terms. So from that point on, we work on awareness-raising events, showcasing best practices, successes, and teaching the employees that this is a tool coming to assist them, to augment them, like Mr. Saracakis said. Okay, it's always very difficult to make a beginning. Now, Mr. Saracakis, in the minute and a half plus the extension we will get, I kindly ask you to address our members, the businesses. What can they do to prepare for the transition to artificial intelligence, apart from calling you to offer your services, which we will not deny, of course? First of all, a comment on what Mr. Margaritis said, because this is a reality that is faced by the majority of businesses, starting to experiment. You know, we are well beyond experimentation. We're now, and we need to see it as an economy, and all businesses in the country have already done a lot, a great deal. So we're not in the beginning anymore. Be that as it may, in the effort of making this scalability and the scale up, there are issues. What we see, in order for what a business does to be productive, they need to have discussed and decided their governance, how to staff the governance. On the other hand, is to perform value targeting. Okay, we experimented, we did stuff. Let's see what it is exactly what we want to optimize and how artificial intelligence can help us do it. Now then, having talked about data, we must have a digital trunk or a core on which we will be able to build with the assistance of the cloud and with the sensitivity regarding the cyberspace. We need to have that shield from cyber attacks. That needs to be there and it needs to be operational. The third big chapter, as it were, is the human capital. Mr. Paterakis talked about how we need to not only transform, but train the human capital. And we need to have very targeted actions and tasks there. Number 4 would be the big issue of risk involved in AI. This is called responsible AI. This is the jargon. How do we handle AI in a responsible way? But also how we, as businesses, protect ourselves. First of all, from our executives doing things they shouldn't have, and this is internal training and the internal certification that the people follow the guidelines, and guidelines must be there. And how we build products and services that will not expose our organization outwards. And this must be in a constant loop because artificial intelligence is here to stay. And I would like to close with what was referred to by the other two gentlemen regarding the AI agents. What are AI agents? They are our future assistants. And I think that what Mr. Paterakis said, the best would be for us as consultants, Mr. Margaritis, because we're trying to disrupt our own selves. We have already made it a plan to consider AI agents as members of our team, not just a computer that we will be asking questions. Brilliant. Since the time agent is already waving her hands to stop, thank you very much. It was an extremely fascinating discussion. I only wish we had more time.